Here's one towards the goal. That's going to be gloved by Travis Ridgen. Well, this is more like it.
This is Slangin' the Biscuit. Here's Travis Ridgen and Dave Wheeler.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our summer interview series here on Slangin' the Biscuit. Today's guest is an American. This man was a Navy SEAL for just shy of 10 years, visionary coach for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and led them to 2 Stanley Cups in 2016, 2017. I was put in touch with this man. He changed my life thanks to my friend Matt Murray. He's a man that I look up to. He is the man as far as I'm concerned. He is the pride of just outside of Des Moines, Iowa, the potato capital of the world, TC Thomas Cummings.
Wow. That's a new intro. And corn, not potato. Idaho is potato. Iowa is corn.
Did I say Idaho?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
You want to redo it?
I don't know if you said Idaho, but you did say potato. And yeah.
Well, I know isn't Des Moines the home of Blockbuster Video?
I've got a little story about Blockbuster, but I don't know.
Okay. Well, what's the story? I'm curious now.
So take us back 1995, and Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I meet up with one of my clients. We're having a beer, and he's a young guy. He's like 31 years old, 30, and he's crushing it in business. And I ask him, hey, I've been getting into mutual funds. When do you know to buy and when do you know not to buy? And he's drinking his beer. He literally spits it out laughing. And he says, TC, that's like the question, isn't it? I mean, isn't that the question? He says, sometimes you make an investment and it pays off. Sometimes your 3 best friends from high school call you up and say, hey, man, we're going to start a video rental business. We want you to be the 4th partner. Are you in? And you're like who's going to rent anything from a Blockbuster video store? So he obviously did not invest. But my understanding is that he did turn around and invest and create something called Hollywood Video.
Okay, which was one of the big dogs out there that kind of ate the lunch of Blockbuster for a while until Netflix rolled around.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
I definitely used Blockbuster back in the day and Hollywood Video.
That advice you give, I'm sure that's probably crept its way into some of your vernacular dealing with some of your clients, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, because, you look at the Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. This is life. Like we're not in charge of the outcome. The only thing we're in charge of is, our decisions. And even that can be a challenge.
I'm curious to know. Right? Okay, well, yeah, and I agree. And you've dealt with clients across the spectrum, everything from military to professional sports to business people to regular Joes. And is there a common thread across all of them as far as the way people handle themselves, or at least the way you coach them?
So 100% there's a common thread, and it's a twofold element. I call this noble warrior training. There's 2 aspects of noble warrior training. Is first your attitude. And the attitude distills down to an either or scenario. Literally in everything. Either you are at cause in the relationship or you are in effect. That is to say, relative to the law of cause and effect, you are the doer, you're the initiator, you are the prompter. You are responsible, you are responsive. Or relative to the law of cause and effect, it's happening to you, you're in the result, you have no choice. And that's the number one enchilada. It's enormous because you look at every single thing in your life all day long. You're either the responsible one or it's happening to you. And that gets as big as you want to get with things like butterfly theory. You flap a butterfly's wings in Thailand and a tornado happens in Kansas. or as small and microscopic as, am I going to have another alcoholic beverage tonight? One more drink. Am I getting up on time? I mean, I laugh at it just thinking about one scenario to take us back to maybe 1999. And I was on my way to a meeting of just men. And the whole idea is that we're going to support each other to be successful in relationships. So I pick up this dude along the way. He's kind of a soup sandwich. I get it. You know, we're all in different levels or different levels of our personal evolution. And this guy was, you know, that he had this going on. And we're driving and I'm looking at the time. It's a 20-minute drive and it's 10 minutes before the hour. And I make a comment to him. I said, well, you know, we're late, so we got to really just stay focused and get there. And he says, we're not late. It's 10 till. I'm like, dude, it is easily a 20-minute drive from here to there. You cannot make up that time. But he didn't get it. And as a result, the point being that it was happening to him. You know, why were you late? How many times you heard this? Why were you late? The dog ate my homework. I got all the traffic lights. Maybe you guys know this one. I didn't snow plow my driveway, or my plow guy didn't come. That's one, right? We don't have that in Southern California. But having grown up in upstate New York, I do know it. It exists. So, you know, it's easy to blame, and you can find all the evidence. But the truth is, either it's happening to you or you're the one making it happen. It's an either or attitude. If you look at it as, I'm the one who didn't call my plow guy the night before to confirm everything's good. I'm the one who didn't get myself started on my trek before hitting all the red lights. I'm the one who didn't decide how many adult beverages I could have tonight. Right? That's ownership. That means I'm at cause. And then there's the second half of Noble Warrior Training, which is that we're all in this grand battle, and every one of us is fighting our worst enemy, our own personal worst enemy. And this personal worst enemy wants us to be in effect, because it gets its energy from that, and it can manipulate us, it can control us, almost like it's another entity. I call this the... Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I'm just curious, and I'm trying to play this out in my brain and go from like dealing with a SEAL team to dealing with a hockey team, where one chain, one link in the chain can change that, and it may not be your, I don't want to use the word fault, but everything that I was going for, if somebody else doesn't pick up the slack on that one, well, now I'm the effect. You know what I mean? Now it happened to me.
You have the evidence that it happened to you. And could you have done anything else? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, right? Sometimes it rains. Sorry, I'm thinking of really horrible situations, but sometimes you get surprised. You did not see that one coming. And that's where the acceptance part comes in. Going back to your original question about making an investment into Blockbuster Video. Yes or no? No, this would be dumb. Who's going to rent from Blockbuster? Yeah, that you missed out. I get it. So who are you going to be in the shoes you're in now?
Well, I mean, if I had my choice, I'd pick Netflix every time. But I mean, you got to have a crystal ball for that.
Well, exactly. And since we don't have a crystal ball, whatever shoes you're in, who are you going to be at that moment? So yes, I am responsible for the government, the election. How could I be responsible? Well, you turn it around. Instead of the defensive, how? Ask it constructively. How could I have been responsible for the outcome of the election? Well, I guess I could have done this more. I could have done that more. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I mean, even something as simple as praying, right? Just meditating and just like sending good vibes. You could have done that. Okay. But otherwise, you're absolutely 100% correct, right? Like, this is not exactly accurate, but the glass, it's got 50% liquid in it. There's evidence that's half empty or evidence that's half full. So you're going to be right. From my own childhood, I find that I prefer to be half full, meaning that I'm responsible, as opposed to it happened to me, which, that can be a really tough one to swallow sometimes.
So I'm curious to know if there's ever a situation where you're dealing with a team and you lay this out and everyone goes, okay, we got it. But then the one that goes, I don't get it. Then how is that member of the team dealt with if it's not an all-in mentality?
Beautiful. So let's say we got 10 people on the team. Or better yet, let's say 5. 5 is an easier number. One person is going to get it. One person is going to struggle the most. In between the remaining 3, they're going to get it to some degree, or they're going to not get it to some degree. So whenever a team says, yeah, we get it, maybe. But then there's application. There's real life. Again, Mike Tyson, right? Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. When you get punched in the face, how quickly can you get back up? How quickly can you reclaim the driver's seat? This is the beautiful thing about working with hockey goalies. By the way, just a little correction here. I did not work with the team. I worked with the goalies for 5 years. I'm not recognized officially by the team. And the team, they did what they were going to do, but there was influence. Like, how do I say this? Somebody I had been working with now, as of today, it's like 20 years we go back, but he was put in a position where he could influence Sully and share what he took from our work. And instantly, I swear, if you look at it, instantly Sidney Crosby changed. He stopped complaining during the play when he'd get crunched, and he's got all the evidence in the world. I got so much respect for Sidney Crosby. He's such a well-rounded leader and player. We got a lot of great players out there. We got some great leaders out there, but he is so well-rounded. And to my knowledge, he was called Sid the Kid because he was seen as a crybaby. That year, immediately, he elevated his game to my eyes. I'm the worst fan because I just don't follow anybody. But I do know who Sidney Crosby is.
You say you didn't get you said you didn't get any credit from the Penguins, but I'm curious to know, did you get a ring?
No.
Okay.
No ring. And I think that's probably why. Now, my assumption is twofold, but my assumption is it has to do with money. Because when my lawyer talked to them after they threatened me with legal action following our second Stanley Cup, they basically said, we want an exclusive with Cummings. But they didn't say that. They did say it, and she confirmed, and yeah, that's basically it. She says, but you're not paying him for an exclusive. Oh, anyway, got to go back. So I gave him more opportunities, and at the end of the day, after the 5th year, and just showing the value, I gave him my terms in writing. And what I was told was, we don't do terms. And I said, I understand, but if you want to work with me, here are my written terms.
Okay, so we're all understanding here. I'd just like everyone to really understand what the tenure was. I think a few people might be lost here. You work specifically on an independent basis with the goaltending of the Pittsburgh Penguins through their back-to-back cup runs and over the course of 5 years inside of that window. Were you approached by the team, or was this did you approach them? Did you approach the goaltenders? I'm curious to know how that relationship started.
How do I say this concisely? 2004, I met an out-of-work goalie in Ocean Beach, tending bar in Ocean Beach, San Diego, California, during playoffs. And we worked on his mental and emotional well-being. He says, hey, my skills, they're top. So we just worked on his mental and emotional. And the guy, he applied himself better than most anybody I've ever worked with. He really took ownership of it. He really did. And what I brought, I believe, was the key jigsaw puzzle piece. He had 99 pieces and I brought one, and boom, it all came together. By the at one point in the summer, he got called up to summer skate with the Bruins, and then he was top dog of the three guys competing. And at the end of the summer skate, he was awarded, if I can say that, Bruins pads, which is really remarkable because he's a Boston guy. He grew up in Boston. He lives and breathes hockey. That's literally how he introduced himself to me. I realized I'm watching hockey in Ocean Beach. I'm the only person standing and screaming and cheering and yelling at the TV. I was feeling awkward. I realized I need a hockey buddy. I mean, this is like the dumbest thing, but in San Diego, I need a hockey buddy. And I remember the bartender had a Bostonian accent. So I call him. He's like, what you need down there? Like, come here. And he goes over. He's cleaning the bar. He's like, I got you. What you need? And I'm like, do you like hockey? What do you mean, do I like hockey? I live and breathe hockey. I'm a goalie. What do you mean, do I like hockey? Okay, Mr. I live and breathe hockey. So, grabbed him by his shirt collar and pulled him over. He says, I got shit for brains. My mind is shit. My mind is shit. I'm up, I'm down. My skills, I'm always in the top 3 nationally for skills competitions. I'm like number 3 because I just can't beat these guys who are taller and longer than me, but my mind is shit. So I grab him by the shirt collar, I pull him over the bar, and I start doing CPR on his career. And he embraced it, and most people don't, because they think they know it. And he embraced it, and sure enough, one of the things he did was he would put himself out there for target practice for the San Diego Gulls. And then they were missing a goalie, and they like, hey man, would you mind putting this other guy's sweater on? And he went in to go play. That's the story I remember. Went in, played for the San Diego Gulls. They were not the AHL.
That would have been the IHL, I think, at that point, the International Hockey League.
Probably. Was that the Taylor Cup? Does that ring a bell? I'm trying to remember.
The U-Haul at that point.
It could have been, yeah.
So, as a result, he got seen, and that's how he got called into. He calls me on the phone. He's like, "You're never gonna believe. You're never gonna believe what just called me. The Boston Bruins just called me up for summer skate." I'm doing my best Boston accent.
That's fantastic. You had me sold. Yeah.
And so at the end, he's, like I said, he's top dog. And the general manager says, after this meeting, I want you to go down that hall, get yourself sized for Bruins pads. But we're not going to sign you to a contract. He says, this year there's going to be a lockout. So we're going to send you down to a team in Louisiana. Hopefully one of Travis's teams.
Maybe the ice skaters.
He said, you're gonna get lots of net time. He didn't get lots of net time, but he got a career-ending concussion. I don't hear from him for like 5 months, and so now it's into 2005, maybe January 2005. Hey there, TC. Yeah, I've been hiding from you. He calls me up. Yeah, sitting on the couch, eating cookies, feeling bad for myself, But then I remembered, man, what did I learn from TC? It's more than I got skills more than playing hockey. I'm a great coach. So I started up my own coaching business. GDS, Goaltending Development Services. And he's done very, very well. Tuukka Rask for 4 years. Jonathan Quickie for 8 years, including UMass Amherst. And those, again, I'm the worst fan. About 5 years ago, he and I went through the list of all the goalies that he had elevated in high school to juniors to D1 to pro globally. And he was head and shoulders above all the rest of the goaltending development schools. That was 5 years ago. And I don't know what I don't know. So perhaps, the Finnish have better schools or better product. I don't know. What I do know is, the mind and the heart and how it translates into the hands. And so for a goalie, this goalie, he went to, he's coaching goaltending, and he started coaching for the Columbus Blue Jackets in, say, 2009, I believe. Maybe 2010, assistant goaltender coaching. And then he got brought in to work with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, the Penguins there. And that's where he worked mostly with Mike Sullivan. And then when Mike Sullivan went up to Pittsburgh, he brought this guy with him. And the guy says, look, you got to work with TC. And the guy's like, Sully's like, thanks. But Sully never brought me in to work with anybody, but the goalie coaches brought me in because of this guy.
So I'm curious to know. Go on, please. Yeah, continue.
When I gave them my terms, and they said, we don't do terms. Two of the goalies followed. They just put their hands in their own pocket, and they said, bro, you're staying right here with me. And, just appreciation. Appreciation is so easy not to have, especially if you grew up in a sport and you're top. Therefore, you're catered to your whole life. Somebody's putting money into the ATM. Somebody's paying the bills. And then you go off to college. You're still catered to. And then you're in the professional world, and you don't even know you need to tip the caddy, or even that you need to pay to walk onto the golf course, right? Like, oh, I just thought we would. Yeah, well, because they're so used to being coddled. And this is not just hockey. This is across the board. Any phenom, they're susceptible to that. That's been my experience.
So I've got a bunch of things I want to unpack from there, but number one, I'm curious to know how the Pittsburgh Penguins weren't willing to shore up and bring you in, but was there interest anywhere else? Like, did you think about shopping around going, hey, I really enjoy this aspect of what I do, and another hockey team I'm sure would be happy to have me?
I would love to answer the first question. I'd love to know why. I've got a dear, beloved friend. I call him my BFF, and he and Sully have a long history, and the two of them flew on a plane together, and he said, hey, TC? And Sully didn't make eye contact, but just nodded quietly and basically said, yeah, I know. Okay, so it wasn't because of the quality of the product. I can only get into a theory. I can only come up with a theory. My theory is, in the case of the Penguins, Mario Lemieux pays a sports psychologist to be an effective sports psychologist. Along comes a non psychologist who just happens to be a Navy SEAL and been doing this for 30 years and says, I can help. And I mean, Marc Andre, his career best season shutouts doubled the first year. Hello, I don't know how else to measure these things, right? But I mean, I watched the whole team, but I was always told, hey, the team is going to have to ask for you, and the only way the team's going to ask for you is if like Flower says, hey, elbow, and it wasn't that big of a deal to him. And or Mario preferred to give the credit to where he was investing the money, because I guarantee you the sports psychologist he's making a lot more money at that job than I was charging. I see this across the board everywhere I work, in the larger companies, in the larger businesses, when they have somebody who's in that position and they're doing just above mediocre. I'm like, hey, just use me like a tool. Let me be that asset to get you up there. Well, then their butt hurt because I made them look bad. As opposed to, dude, you used your big brain. You used your assets. I mean, how many people on the planet can understand the mental workings of a SEAL? I'll call it a SEAL team. We prefer to work in like 4 to 8 man teams. So I'll just call it a team. And the fluidity is so palpable. There was a movie made called Act of Valor, maybe about 12 years ago, I think.
Familiar.
Roughly. And the director, producer, he wanted to depict the beauty of the intrinsic movements where there's no verbal communication. You just pick up on each other through your peripheral vision and you go with it. He himself was a stuntman. He couldn't find anyone that could mimic it sufficiently to his standard. So what he did was he embedded himself as a journalist with the SEAL team for maybe a year and a half. Could be mistaken, might have been 2 years. And he gathered footage of the guys working and he put it into a movie. So he saved money on the upside, but he had to work with what he was given. And he put together this beautiful movie of active duty Navy SEALs as actors. And you can see, if you ever watch it, you can just see the movements. I understand it. I understand it viscerally, and I learned to communicate it intellectually and to tease it out. So you go back to a team of a financial team. There's 5 of them. One of them, he or she is strong enough to say, I don't quite get it. That's brilliant. My eyebrows go up because that's my playground. Now we can tease it out. Unlike what I'm doing here when I'm talking, I prefer to pull it out of you. I use like boards where I write on the board. So I use your words, and then it's hard for you to argue with yourself. And if you do, then you have to say things like, you know what, I was bass backwards there.
Well,
yeah, I get it now.
I'd be remiss if I didn't kind of turn this back on you when it comes to the whole Pittsburgh Penguins situation and go, were you the cause or the effect of the way that ended?
I'm the cause. I am the cause. I don't have a psychology degree. B, I'm not planning on moving around from town to town to apply myself. C, I'm not buddies. I haven't, how do you say it? I'm not in a circle with like a team owner. Take us back to like 2002. And I had dinner with one of the owners, I'll say the family member, he was in development of the San Diego Chargers. And he's interviewing me to be his executive coach because he wants to develop into the position that's available for him. And with this meal, I got to see just how intricate the game of sports team ownership is. And only then did I really realize that it's an entertainment business. It has nothing to do with who is the baddest on the ice, the baddest on the field, the baddest on the pines, but rather who can make the most money over time. And so a lot of the decisions come down from top of what to do with this character or that character, not based on who's going to help us win, but it's based upon money, money, money.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a number, and I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. That's part of my character.
Mm-hmm.
You could call it a character flaw because I know a lot of guys who are, living on their knees driving Mercedes G-Wagons. It's not for me. I really like how well I sleep. I really like my connection with my family. My friends know who I am. My clients know who I am. And like Travis can tell you, like, it can be kind of disturbing at times because where else am I responsible? Where else am I at cause? I don't have this amazing marketing program. I also don't have any desire to cause your effect. I don't want to be manipulative, coercive. I'm a hypnotist, but the reason I studied hypnosis is so I could understand how the mind works in processing things. So I can help people when I understand, I can hear them. I can read their physiology, their intonation, their breathing.
I almost kind of feel like you're the inspiration for Ted Lasso, that show where the American football coach gets hired to coach a soccer team. He goes, I don't know the first thing about soccer, but I know humans.
I've got a client recently concluded he sold the business. That's why. Let's see, aluminum extract, right? 250 employees. And he sends me these Ted Lasso clips all the time because he's like, I was thinking of you. This made me think of you. This is the kind of thing you do. In fact, I think Travis, was it you, Travis, who sent me a Be Like a Goldfish video? Somebody sent me that just last week. Goldfish only members 10 seconds. Be like a goldfish.
That's
have a goldfish memory.
I think some people unfortunately have that whether they want to or not.
Yeah. So then why didn't I shop this service around? Because here's what the goalie coaches have told me over the last decade. Goalies are treated like mushrooms. Goalies and goalie coaches are treated like mushrooms. They're kept in the dark and they're fed shit.
Well, you're not wrong, and I've been very vocal on this show about, because I've dealt with goaltenders, and I don't know, for whatever reason, every time we're on a road trip, I always got roomed with the goaltenders. I don't know, maybe I deal with you guys differently. Maybe I know how to deal with you guys. I don't know what it is, but goaltenders are different. Goaltenders, kickers, pitchers. I mean, every sport has their that mantra of like, keep them in the closet. They'll continue to grow, but they just need to be treated a different way.
Yes, and when Swayman asked to be compensated appropriately for the value he brought, he showed his worth, he was, I guess, given a thumbs down. I mean, he wasn't met with absolutely, man. So goalies, gosh, you got two of them, on the ice. Two of them are dressed. and they get paid such chump change relative to everybody else. And my imagination, again, I could be mistaken, but this is my perception. And from this perception, my imagination is that, I'm going to guess 18 out of 20 players on a team are players. They're skaters. So that's just there's a small, tiny little world of the goalie mindset. They don't understand goalies. And if a goalie's going to grow up through the ranks, and then very rare, you got like Patrick Waugh, but very rare will you see a goalie become the coach of the players, because it's just such a different, it's not just a different mindset, it's a different game. I mean, just watch one period and count the number of bobbled pucks by the players. If a goalie bobbles the puck once, everybody, they all like, uh-oh, what's going on? It's sort of like the captain of a commercial airliner. Your threshold of tolerance is so small, but then they don't pay him very well compared to. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what say Flower was getting paid up until his retirement.
I think he probably tapped out somewhere around $6 or $7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he signed a contract extension when you were working with the Penguins for about 6-ish.
And how does that compare to, say, Letang?
Oh,
Definitely less. I mean, like if you're going to compare, because I think Bob's the only one making like top dollar $10 million, and that was from a couple of years ago. Carey Price wasn't too far behind.
Oh, he did.
Outside of that, I don't think you have too many that are.
You're starting to see goaltenders get paid a little bit more. I mean, Hellebuck's up there now too. I mean, you're going to see a lot of guys in the offseason get signed. But then you've got a guy like Sidney Crosby, and I think this is the Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes who learned from him, who said, "Listen, I'm going to go make my money in endorsements and whatnot. As far as the team's budget, I'll take a little bit less because I want to put better players around me." And I think that kind of lends a little bit to what you try to teach in your teachings.
Put you in the driver's seat. Like, what can I do in the shoes I'm in? What choices do I have? And how can you make now, which leads to a philosophy, if I can, win. I'm always seeking you win, I win, and they win. So in the case of our podcast, I want your listeners to win. I'm here. I want them to find some pearl of wisdom that enriches their life. I get this all the time. I get like little things. People go like, "Dude, you remember when you said this?" I said, "No." "Well, you did like 15 years ago. I was there. You said this." And I still do it every day. That's really cool. I mean, how many people are even consciously awake every day, let alone to remember to pay attention to things that are important?
Okay, so for a good portion of the audience that we have, I know, is a lot of hockey moms and dads who are, I think, maybe following this podcast because they want to hear the journey that Trav went through. Is that right for my kid? So maybe they're working your regular everyday job, and we kind of hope that they get something out of it that they can pass on to their kids. But at the same time, we kind of hope that they get something out of it too, whether it be entertainment, whether it be enjoyment, whatever it may be. So is that kind of what you're getting at? Is that you take something out of the conversation, regardless of what it is? Don't walk away feeling that it was just a waste of time?
I don't even want to say waste of time. That literally, like, your life is going to be enriched as a result. Like you're gonna see things in a more constructive way. You're gonna, I mean, sorry, I'm too many thoughts coming in all at once. Small individual, an actual tactic is going to be based upon the individual and the circumstances. So when I work with athletes, I refer to that as my moonlighting gig, because mostly what I work with are company leaders and leadership teams. That's my bread and butter. So working with, one of my joys, Casey DeSmith, all right, he's currently backup goalie for the Dallas Stars, and worked with him for 7.5, 8 years, starting with when he was in UNH, the year that he didn't have any hockey. He started off in the ECHL with the Wheeling Nailers.
Yep. Nailed it.
And he didn't even get dressed, I think, till December. And then when he finally got to show what he was made out of, he had strengthened his mind so well that he boom, 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 boom. They brought him up to the AHL for the he helped the Nailers get into the secure the playoffs, and then they called him up to the AHL, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton, helped them secure the playoffs and go through the playoffs. Next thing you know, he's in the AHL, and he's smelling the NHL, and next thing you know, he's in the NHL. And pretty sure he's like 33 years old now. Might be 34. He's got a wife and he's got a family. I mean, I feel awe right now because but if I can rewind the tape, the first game he started was right here, Los Angeles Kings. And he it's a crazy word, right? Nonplussed, right? Nonplussed. Like if anybody could emulate nonplussed, it was Casey DeSmith in that game. He'd get knocked around, all sorts of fighting, good, everything. He was completely in his own space. And the callers, the commentators, they kept talking about it. Every break, and then he was like number one star of the game, and they interview him. His first game, I'm so stoked for the guy. This is a guy who was out of hockey for a whole year. Like, again, this actually dovetails for, your hockey parents, because it can happen. You can miss a whole year of your sport and still continue on. Well, they asked him, the interviewer, she's like, Casey, we noticed we couldn't stop talking about your mind, your mental strength. You're so cool, calm, collected. Is that your basic, strategy and your basic approach? And he chuckles and he's like, yeah, on a good night. Which is brilliant, because sometimes you get punched in the nose. All right. So I just absolutely love that. Was like, gosh, that was years ago, like 7, maybe 6 years ago. Anyway, for parents, yeah, it goes back to Blockbuster Video, right? Do you invest in your kid? Do you drive him or her around? Do you hockey is not a poor man's sport. It is not. And probably the only thing more expensive than that would be hockey goalies.
Bang on.
Not far off.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
TC, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about the Marc Andre Fleury busting stick story. I think that one's a spectacular story you tell.
Oh, that one, like somebody just started chopping onions here in my office. Just you bringing it. Oh, so again, I'm the worst fan. So I didn't know who Flower was before I came to work with him. And we started off first day of a week together, and I got the guys in a classroom type setting. They'd gone and done yoga and etc. And now we're in the classroom, and it's the mental interaction before we put them out on the ice and we apply what they've learned. So I introduce myself and I say, by the way, I'm not here to smell your sweaty socks. Like I'm a fan of sport and effort and character, but I'm not a fanboy. At the time, I'm living in basically Culver City, Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, right? So I'm surrounded by celebrities, and I applaud that they make an effort to get where they are. But when you live the life of a special operator, whether it's a Green Beret, a Air Force PJ, Army Ranger, or a Navy SEAL, gosh, take away that. I mean, even just firefighters, right? First responders, a lot more appreciation for them than I do for somebody who pretends to be someone he's not, so that he can elicit phony emotions out of me and make me feel good and extract my money. Right? Like, entertainment is great, but hockey drama is so much better. Wrestling, tennis is awesome for drama. I just love tennis. So I tell the guys, I don't know all of you, and pardon me. I said, Mark, I understand you're kind of a big deal. And he's like, hey, he's playful about it, right? And I said, my brother tells me he's a huge fan of yours. And my brother's going through some, at the time, health issues. So I'm going to ask for something, signed by you before we're done with the week. And Mark's like, well, sure, of course. And I didn't think anything of it until maybe 4 days later, 3-4 days later, where we just finished having dinner. There's probably about 8 of us. And we're walking from one place to the next. And Mark is jogging up from behind me. He's like, hey, TC. And he's smiling. He's got something on his mind. And he walks up alongside me and he says, you said your brother would like something signed. And I said, oh, yeah, it'd be great. And he says, do you think maybe he would like a stick? And I thought about it and I said, well, my brother's a goalie himself. He's got his own sticks. I don't know why he would want. I said, no, he's got his own sticks. And Mark kind of chuckled like, yeah, that's funny. And then I got it like, oh, you mean one of your sticks? And I mean, he didn't do this, but Mark could have gone like what an idiot. Because I didn't. So yeah, that'd be great. And then he goes on and he's laughing. And he says, because, usually by now he says, an event like this, I'm going to bring 3 sticks. Because usually by now, I've smashed 2 of them. But because of our work together, I've got all 3. And he didn't use the word together, but he's like, because of, our work, I've got all 3. He is an entertainer. He is fun. Gosh, I don't know what he's going to do for his next career, but he has got mega potential for being in front of the camera.
Dude's got options. He was an absolute. If I could speak highly of the Flower here for a second. Unfortunately, this past spring, he had a bad exit with Team Canada after losing to the Danes. But he's well loved not only by the fans but by the organization, by the players. He was a playful guy, always a smile on his face. Did really, really well with media. So I think he's going to have his pick of the litter. But I'm curious to know, based on that story and dealing with all these people. I mean, a surgeon goes in and he knows how to fix a broken arm. All depending on the degree of break, it's going to be, cast up the arm, however it may be. But he knows how to fix a broken arm. Are you going in with a blanket? All right, I know how to deal with a goalie, an athlete, and it's kind of the same. I mean, I've dealt with consultants my whole life, people that come in, listen to the radio station for a handful of days, and then come in and go, okay, I've got a plan based on what we're going to do. And I've always felt consultants are just people that remind us things of what we already know, going, oh yeah, I knew that. I should start incorporating that a little bit more. So consulting is really good as a refresher, as a reminder. So from your standpoint, when you go in, do you look at the broken arm going, I know how to fix that? Or are you not even asking the question of what's broken before you start diving in?
No, for starters, I'm listening to 2 things. 1, what's broken, and 2, what are your superpowers? Because oftentimes we've got these superpowers we're just not using. And you might not need me. What Joy Bag of Donuts, what's your superpower? Well, let's see, I can see far range of vision and I can heal broken bones. Say it again. And then you see the light bulb go off above Joey's head. But how often the answers are right in front of you? Travis and I had a discussion not long ago. I think my part of the discussion sounded like this.
I was telling Dave about that before we started recording. I'll tell him something, he'll just sit quiet for 10 seconds, and I'll think, that's insightful, TC. He just hasn't said a single word. I just marinated on what I just said. And he says to me the other day, you're mad at water for being wet. Yeah, I am. You're right. That's good. I'm glad this was productive.
When we are in effect, I believe we are in a normal state of being. It's normal for us to be in effect, and we are generally non-conscious, or we're in denial. Non-conscious meaning you don't even know that you're complaining about water for being wet. You're just not mindful of it. You're not even thinking about it. And this is how, with the amygdala and the way our brains work, it's a less stressful way to go through life on the surface. But if you're not paying attention to saving your money, paying your bills, saying please and thank you, or how you're communicating with your significant other, how you're communicating with your employer, all right, non-conscious, what you don't know. Who was it? Is it Jim Rohn? I think Jim Rohn said, what you don't know can and will hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, in my job, sometimes people don't want to know because there's a pain that they correlate, either because they knew it and then they feel embarrassed because, oh my God, I'm upset because I'm complaining that water is wet. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. And I get fired because I'm the messenger.
In this society, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because a lot of what you're saying is, hey, either I'm the cause or I'm the effect. There's been a lot of people who have been able to find power in effect. And what I'm getting around to is people will check boxes and go, yeah, but if I play the victim, then I kind of rise up on the other end. And whether they realize that or not, or whether that's a social construct, I'm not 100% sure on. But I think more people are kind of finding that I'd rather be the effect.
I'm picturing the dartboard, right? You're nailing it. The full theorem that I propose is where you see yourself relative to the law of cause and effect determines power. There are two types of power. When you're at cause, you get true lasting power. It's calm, solid, reliable. Nobody can take it away from you. Dave, you've been doing radio for 27 years, right? Have you gone through some tough times?
I don't think he has.
No, not yet. Just easy day, right?
Yeah,
easy peasy.
It's I've had some struggles. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Can anyone take away the character you developed by going through those struggles?
I heard a great quote, and I'm sure you've heard this one before, is tough times don't build character, it reveals character.
So you can forget who your character, just like Joey Bagadonis can forget that he has the power of healing broken bones. You can also forget, just like you didn't see your character before, you can also forget your character. So when you're at cause, nobody can take away your strengths, your ability to do. When you're in effect, where it's happening to you, you also get a sense of power. I call this bogus. Let me say it again. I call this bogus flash power. I'm getting ahead of myself in my head. Bogus flash power. It's just so fun. This word bogus, a total California word, right? From Bill and Ted.
Mm-hmm.
The bogus flash power, it's sensational. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is Jimi Hendrix. It's John Belushi. It's Marilyn Monroe. It's all that in a bag of chips. It's a shooting star. It lightens up the whole sky. And at any given moment, boom, it stopped. And you're left in the dark. There's no more power because you didn't make it happen. It happened to you. So the fastest, easiest, not just fastest, but the easiest thing to do to get more power is to double down. So not only are you not only are you a hater, but you smell bad. I'm trying to think of things that are politically correct right now. I can say it. Let me say it's not politically correct, but not tremendously offensive politically, right? But the easiest thing to do is, I know what you are, but what am I, right? Take it from a lesson from Pee Wee Herman. So just doubling down more and more of, like what you were saying, there is a sense of power, but it's fake. It's superficial. It's not reliable. I when I was in the SEAL teams, we went through survival, evasion, resistance, and escape school, SEER. And we have a very small community. The SEALs, I think we had 1,800 shooters when I was in the Navy, when I joined the Navy, and I'd go through SEER school. There's a lot more fixed wing and rotary wing pilots and crewmen. So people who fly in the military are highly likely to get shot down or crash or make an emergency landing and get captured. So they need to learn SEER. So we go through SEER school. In my case, there were 3 of us and maybe 20 of these flyboys. And immediately, we're in my backyard. So I invite the guys, hey, know this great Mexican restaurant. And in front of everybody, I don't know, this guy kind of like Iceman. He gets in front of he postures up in front of me, on display for everybody. And oh no, we will not be fraternizing. Sure, man. You don't want to know where the good places to go for Mexican food. You go to Taco Bell and you enjoy yourself. I get it. So fast forward to the last day. I mean, there's stories, but the last day, we've been awake for a long time and we haven't eaten and we're out in the desert and we're uncomfortable, which is kind of like the playground for SEALs. We're naked warriors, right? All we need is our mind. We don't need anything else. We're going to figure this shit out. By definition, pilots have, buttons to push, toggles to toggle, joysticks to joy. I don't know what you call it when you move a joystick. Anyway, this guy, but all of us are in this position, and myself and the other 2 SEALs, we're separated from each other so we can have a bigger view. And we look around, we recognize that we're isolated, that we're in a safe place right now. The instructor staff has walked away. And so the 3 of us get up, we stretch, and we're making these jokes, nonverbal jokes, and we're laughing quiet. We're laughing silently. And Iceman comes at me very, very. He staggers forward towards me. And he's been crying. Tears are all come down his face. He's stressed. And he gets kind of in my grill and he pleads, "How can you joke at a time like this?" I just kind of like, wow, man, you just don't get it. You don't get it. But I understand he's reliant on something else to cause his effect. He needs Top Gun, the need for speed, right? He needs those turbo thrusters behind him. He needs something. He needs to be able to push a button to launch off of an aircraft carrier, which has got to be an amazing experience. Probably the more crazy thing would be landing on that little boat. But I don't need something outside of myself to cause my effect. I am at cause. That's more powerful. Let me rephrase that. Until I get punched in the nose or punched in the face, I'm at cause. I chose this. I chose that. But I can't be conscious of everything all at once. And at some point, I'm going to be tired, hungry, and vulnerable. And I'm gonna feel pain, and I'm gonna slide non-consciously into effect, where the poor me or the anger rage will give me that bogus flash power. Am I hitting on what you're describing about?
Yeah, I think that was all encompassing. I want to switch gears here a little bit because I know we've taken up a lot of your time, and I kind of feel like I've been hogging TC this entire time here, Trav. But I know you get a period of time with him on a regular basis, so I appreciate you kind of deferring to me on this one. But
I love just listening to him. Like, he's one of the most entertaining people I've ever met in my life, and hopefully everybody listening kind of hears that and sees that as well. So I'm happy to sit back.
Well, I want to go back to the parents here for a second because there's one thing that when I was doing reading and research before we sat down today, one thing that really stood out on a few different pages that was very poignant in your description was that you were emancipated at 16 years old. Now, for a lot of parents who have kids who are getting ready to go out and play junior hockey, or they're going to be moving out of a small town, moving to a bigger city, playing AAA, playing whatever it may be, prep school all over North America and the world, doing that kind of thing. It's an interesting point of a child's life at 15 or 16 years old to move away from the family. And I'm curious to know, because it didn't really explain why that emancipation happened, but for you, a guy at 16 years old going, I don't need anybody else. I got this. I don't need a parent or guardian. I have a feeling that it's not as simple as that.
Not as simple, but that's probably my mindset. So the home had become unsafe, and the judge said, "You are now emancipated." And I figured I can remember telling my father, "Hey, 2 more years and I'll be off to college anyway. So I'll just go now." I don't know what I don't know. And working, that's hard. Working and going to school, working and going to the most elite all-male Jesuit Catholic prep school, that's real hard. I had to be at school at 7:40 a.m. for, we call it homeroom. And homeroom is really just like a buffer time between where maybe you get some information and then classes start at 8 o'clock. So I'm working, I'm coming home between 1 and 3 a.m., 6 or 7 nights a week. Sometimes I have to do homework after I get home. So those extra 10, 15, 20 minutes of sleep matter. But I did my very best to show up at 7:40 every morning. I didn't always make it, and I'm responsible. And I can point at my hand-me-down car that wouldn't start reliably. I can blame that, but I'm the one who, chose the shoes I was in. I could have quit. To this very day, to my knowledge, and it's been, I think the school is about 70 years old now, 75. Anyway, to my best of my knowledge, I'm the only graduate of the school who was living on his own and graduated. In beginning of my junior year, the principal called me in and recommended that I drop out of school. He says, you're living life like a college student. Just drop out of school, do something construction in the daytime, and go to the community college at night. Get your GED. I said, thank you. I mean, crazy. Like, I'm 17 years old, and I said, I want to say thank you for your advice, and I want to thank you in advance, please, for allowing me to treat it as just advice. And if I don't follow it, don't take it personal. So I took the next day off, and I contemplated, who do I want to be in the shoes I'm in? I want to kick this school's effing ass. And I did. I graduated in the upper 20%, but I also graduated with 4 out of the 4 possible honors that, without being like the one single guy, right? I just, that being said, I realized that the mental tools I was using, because I learned these tools at a young age. I learned to keep a journal, and I'd write down gleams of value. And I'd use it. I'd read my journal. I'd remind myself, oh yeah, Carpenter's rule. Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. Oh, I cut it too short. Wait a minute. Did I measure twice? No, I didn't. Okay. Remember, measure twice, cut once. These things actually work. And here I am going to the school with the most affluent families in a very affluent, liberal, intelligentsia type city. And I felt like I had more true lasting power than almost anybody I knew. And some of the guys, wow, their home life was like brutal. So I discovered I want to be a psychologist. That's what I want to do, because this shit works. The mind is everything. It's not everything. It's the most important thing. Your mindset, your mentality, the words you use, how it influences your mind, and how you see your attitude, it all is really real. And then there's a spiritual concept, but this part is really, and so I started taking the psychology course, and my professor is just, I'm sitting there just writing everything. Yeah, I get it. Oh yeah, I get it. I'm internalizing while I'm taking notes. It all makes sense. One day he hands out a stress test. He says, each of these events has a different numerical value, and you write down how many of these times you had this event in the last period of time, and that's going to tell you your stress level. So if you have a stress level of 100 points or more, that means you're susceptible to a heart attack. We looked at each other, we're like, dude, we're 17 years old, like, heart attack. Stress must be really bad. Has us all stand up. He says, okay, if you got 20 points or less, sit down. One kid, sit down. 30, more kids sit down. 40, sit down. 70, more kids sit down. And he says 90. There's 3 of us left. All right, excuse me, I guess there were 3 of us left. And he says 90. The other 2 kids sit down. He says, what'd you get? A classic New York talk, right? What'd you get? I said 300. Like, you're going to hear a pin drop. And instantly he looks internally and he drops his head and he starts waving it off. Recheck your math. I've checked it 3 times. And now he's pacing back and forth. It's like Star Trek, one of those where the robot is like, steam is coming, does not compute, right? He couldn't. I realized that his book smarts didn't understand where I came from and what I was going through. I moved 12 times in 22 months, the last 2 years of high school. Like I said, I was working until I'd come home at 1 or 3 a.m. every night. I was lonely, like you can't believe. One place, a roommate and I, trying to save money, we heated with oil, and we set the thermostat for 57 degrees inside the house. Our logic was, hey man, 57 degrees outside, that's kind of nice, right? I mean, you can just wear a jacket. So we just wore coats around inside of our house because there's no breeze, right? We can just, but you did what coming out of the shower, that was not a pleasant experience in 57 degrees, but you do what you do. Very, very different than setting your kid up to win and sending him or her off to a prep school where they're going to live in a dormitory. There's peers, and they've got food. Food was a real challenge for me. And they've got, they can be a kid. They've got, I didn't have that space. In fact, one of my jobs was working at a nightclub. It wasn't a nightclub, it was a bar, but it was like real popular, lots of dance music. And then I'd come to work the next day with, I would come to school the next morning with kids, right? I mean, here I'm surrounded by adults, quote unquote. They're not being adults, but it was just I was alone. I was very lonely. So setting your kid up to win, what you're talking about, this mom and dad of not just hockey, but any youth sport, it's a big deal. I think first and foremost, parents need to know that they have a job as a parent, what that job is, and then set the kid up to win. And I don't know. We've looked at options for our kid, and as far as we're literally moving to New England just to get ourselves into an atmosphere where he can immerse himself with peers, as opposed to in Southern California, playing hockey is so unusual that all of his hockey friends are 30 minutes apart everywhere, in every direction.
TC, I had a question for you. I don't know if we can talk about this or not, but you helping Matt through his contract stuff that we mentioned earlier about goalies being underpaid and undervalued. Can you talk a little bit about that and your mentorship through that process, or is that an off the record one?
Well, I mean, the truth is, the normal answer would be no, but the reality is that all I help him do is ask himself questions. The hell, what do I know about creating a successful podcast?
If you get the answer, let us know. We'd love to know that answer too.
He's been consulting the show for the last 2 years.
Or anything, this is a great one. One of my bread and butter is with, businesses and business leaders, but I enjoy working with performers, right? Competitors. And this guy, you ready for it? Memory champion. Did you know there's a memory championship, right? So he's a 2-time U.S. memory champion, Ron White. And was it maybe 2008? Ron White of Fort Worth, Texas, not the comedian Ron White, but the memory champion, calls me up and they say, I need the mind of a Navy SEAL. I'm going into this competition, and I've done it once before. I wasn't even a blip on the radar. And to win, I have to absolutely dominate. So why? And he says, well, I enjoy it. But the bigger truth is, it's for my marketing, because I teach memory. I'm a memory trainer, and there are no memory trainers out there who can actually do it. I can do it. I'm teaching it and I'm doing it. So again, what do I know about memory? Nothing. Travis, you're rattling off names of, the BC kid. I don't know I don't. That's not one of my superpowers. Well, it wasn't Ron White's superpower either. He literally failed out of Texas college in Texas because of CRS. Can't remember shit. He suffered from CRS, and boom, they like kicked him out after like 2-3 years, and then he re-evolved himself, and he does phenomenally. But he'll be the first person to tell you, what does a U.S. Navy SEAL know about memory training? Nothing. Yes, we work on things like keep in memory. We have these games. You want to be able to like take a glimpse of a room, close your eyes, and see who is where and what. In hockey terms, where's your pressure and where's your help, right? But from a shooter's point of perspective, right? So you want to be able to memory, short-term memory. But so I don't know. I don't need to know these things. When I work with setting up 911 emergency phone systems for entire cities, I don't know anything about that, but I can work with the CEO and help him crush it for years, city to city to city to city. I think I may have gotten off track from your initial question, because I can't remember what your initial question was.
Matt's contract negotiations and getting paid.
Yes. So I don't know anything about contract negotiations. Look at me in Pittsburgh, right? Maybe I could have done a contract negotiation. Not interested. All right. But what I want to know is, who is the man you want to be in the shoes you're in? Who is the woman you want to be in the shoes you are in? And be that person. Choose to die on your feet as opposed to living on your knees. Why? Because of the experience. P.S. If you choose to live on your knees, you're not going to be able to keep it for any longer than they allow you to. I look at, again, I'm the worst, right? Went to a youth hockey tournament. My son was playing as a goalie about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, at the Toyota Sports Complex or Sports Center,
El Segundo, California. Toyota Sports Center, El Segundo, California, King's practice facility.
El Segundo. And so I'm sitting there, I'm allowing my son to develop himself by, taking care of himself, put his gear on. So I'm just standing in the hallway, not being a hovering dad. And there's this very well put together, dapper guy, right? He kind of almost looks like a very lean Santa Claus. And his suit is like all that in a bag of chips. Like, you can't not see this guy. And I'm going, I know this guy. No, who is he? But I'm the worst with names, right? So only like an hour later did I realize it was Grapes.
Don Cherry.
Don Cherry, right? So he's standing there saying hi to coaches occasionally. I would have loved to just walk up and say, dude, keep it up. Be willing to die on your feet. Because if they knock you, if they say, hey, the only way you're going to live is if you're on your knees, they're in charge of you now. You've lost your autonomy. You've lost a part of your authenticity. Maybe a part of your soul. You've compromised yourself.
My soul is not for sale.
Mm.
But it's easier said than done.
Depends on the quality of the bar napkin, to be honest.
Well, hey, we'll give you a donut as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you're throwing in a donut.
Listen, as much as I agree with everything you're saying, I think there's a lot of people out there saying right now going, I bent the knee because there are bigger things at play, including having to support a family.
Then maybe that's not bending a knee. If you're choosing the bigger picture, you're choosing the bigger picture.
Still a cause.
Yeah. You're still being at cause, right? Like it goes back to sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. Well, if it's going to cost me this to take care of my family, that's what's going to cost me. If, as one of my buddies said, what's going to cost me, man, if I don't bend a knee, then I'm not going to be able to go to watch the games in the box. And I love going to the game. I'm like, okay, man, I love you, and I wish you well, but that's not a higher purpose. That's very just your ultra comfort. Not bad, not wrong, but boy, you're setting yourself up for future pain. And he's letting me know he is experiencing some of that pain now.
Trav, I'm going to let you take us out as masterfully as you always do, and I know you're a big fan of TC Cummings, and he's got one more on the docket now in me, Dave Wheeler. So thank you.
Hey, congratulations for being a dad and 2 boys. God bless your wife. She's got 3 boys.
She's a unicorn, man. She's one of a kind, and I give all the credit that I've ever done in my life since I met her to her.
Well, everybody, that was TC Cummings. That's a man who's, as you can tell, changed my life and hopefully changed Dave's a little bit in the last hour and a half that we've had. A man that I'm very proud to call a personal friend, former Navy SEAL, visionary coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the pride of Des Moines, Iowa.
Ames, Iowa.
Ames, Iowa, just 45 minutes outside of Des Moines. Anyway, this is Sling the Biscuit. This is part of our summer interview series. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button for more just like this. Leave a review. Let us know what you think. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, YouTube, as you see here, Spotify, Apple, you name it. I'm Travis. That's Dave. That's TC Cummings. We'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for watching.